Welcome to the Morning Scoop for Thursday, July 15th. This is your daily Buckeye fix. I am not Tom Orr. I am Mark Givler, filling in for Tom, who's on vacation. He's probably in the Swiss Alps somewhere or something, doing something fancy. I don't know where he is, but he'll be back soon. The Minnesota game is in 49 days, and the game is in 136 days. So we're getting there, folks. Big Ten Media Days are coming up here, less than 2 weeks. Actually, right about next week at this time, I think we'll be at Big Ten Media Days. So,
Wow.
got a special guest here for this morning's episode. Dan Harris. He is the
Yes,
father
sir.
of AJ Harris, 5-star cornerback in the 2023 class. Let's just get right into it. Where's AJ going to college?
Inquiring minds want to know, Mark. No, it's funny. It's funny you lead in with that. It's been a fun ride for me and mom as well. I can say that not every school we've been to, when we leave, it's like I want to go there. But it has been about 2 or 3. When we left all 3 of those schools, it's like I could see myself playing there. So it's interesting. And that is why this home stretch for us will not be that long. And why end of July, opening back up, and the games are going to be pretty crucial to AJ, because that decision is coming sooner than later.
Well, I had to try. I mean, we had to try. We had to try and get the exclusive here.
Yes.
What was that? So let's you mentioned this. Let's go into June. My goodness, you guys put a lot of miles. I don't know if you flew everywhere or drove everywhere. They put a lot of miles on the family car or what you did, but what was that like?
That's a great question. That's a great question, Mark. It's been very interesting because we did kind of have to put a mix of flying and driving in. We drove to most places, but we actually did do some flying as well. We kind of made them into longer visits though. So, i.e., we went ahead and drove to Notre Dame, for example, but we took that drive. That for us was an 11-hour drive. But, I'm originally from Gary, Indiana. So we were able to stop at home first. So, we kind of did some things strategic so that, we didn't have to rent a car and, just put out all of the extra money, because June actually added up pretty quick. So I imagine some families really felt that as well.
Yeah. You're on all these visits, and obviously AJ is going to be the ultimate decision maker here, but what's your role here? What do you evaluate? Because you've got a lot of experience. Some of these kids, they maybe get caught up in the photo shoots and
That's a great stuff. Yes. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
How much of this is like you just making sure maybe the important factors are focused on, and kind of, how much of that, I guess, influence do you have in terms of what you're looking for and kind of how you're advising him?
Mark, it's funny you say that because, AJ has went on, we did 4 visits with Ethan Nation, who's also a cornerback here in Georgia out of Roswell. And after about the second trip, me and his father was, laughing and joking, like, all these kids want to see the facilities and do the photo shoot. It's like, that's all they're looking forward to. So, we do, as the parents, we have to be their eyes and ears to the more important stuff. So, me personally, I always want to talk to the academic advisors. I want to see what is the plan for study hall. I want to see how are they monitoring AJ on a day-to-day basis. How quick do they let us know if he's done something? Because, like had a bad test or whatever, because, nobody likes surprises. So, I would rather know that I'm going to get that up front and be one of the first people to know. Believe it or not, we were big on going to see dorms. It was big for us to see dorms because, AJ has an older brother that played football, and his dorms were terrible. So dorms are important to us. What are we going to have to, what is AJ going to have to report to school with? For example, there at Ohio State, I love I forget the name of the new dorms they used, and they moved the guys out during the pandemic to like an apartment complex. It was really nice. It had a TV, it had dishes already, it had everything. Only thing really a kid would have to bring is his bedding. So, things like that really matter to us, as well as going out to dinner on the town. I mean, trying to get a feel for how are these Georgia Bulldog fans? How are these Ohio State Buckeye? How are the different fans? What is the feeling? What is the vibe? How are coaches coaching AJ? I like when AJ gets to work out with the coaches because I like to see how they are coaching and how they interact with them. How are the other coaches getting along with AJ? Because we all know in this college football, the coaches change so much. So a coach that AJ may love today may be gone next year. So does he get along with any other coaches, or will he feel like he's kind of, hung out to dry, so to speak? So, it is a lot of things that me and mom looking for in the background that AJ probably could care less about, to be honest. Yeah.
Is it stressful or is it exciting? Because for the kids, it's probably super exciting. But as a parent, you want to pass your son off to the right people. I mean, how much? I guess if it was a pie chart, how much of this is stress and how much of this is just really exciting?
That's that's a tough question right there, because you know what? On one hand, it's very exciting. I mean, you got your kid who has been blessed to have the talent to be able to go to these top-notch schools. And, even as mom and dad, we're meeting Ryan Day, we're meeting Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Brian Kelly. So that is exciting. I couldn't lie to you about that. Seeing some of the campuses, just beautiful, gorgeous. But I got to admit, I think I would lean a little more 60-40 towards stressful, because, at the end of the day, football is going to take care of itself. But like I say, which one of those coaches are going to be in his corner on the bad day when he's not performing like a 5-star and he messed up on the test and he's homesick? You know what I mean? So it's a little bit stressful trying to get a good read on people in a short amount of time. So 60-40.
Yeah. Well, that's not too bad though. You got at least
it's not too bad there. Because fortunately, Mark, man, I can actually say at all of these schools that we got to visit, everybody was top flight, good people. I mean, again, you don't get to see the bad side though. And that's where some of the stress comes in as well, because it's like, okay, everybody got their good foot forward right now, but what about on the bad day? So that's another reason why I like for AJ to do the workouts, because when coaches get in their environment and they get comfortable, you're going to see the real person. So that's why I like workouts.
Yeah. So, he's got a national kind of list, so which I think is a good segue into your background. So you served in the military for many, many years, and we obviously we thank you for that.
Appreciate you.
Can you kind of lay out the timeline of how long you were in the military and where you were stationed?
Yeah, so I served 22 years and 7 months. I went to, starting from basic training, I was at, we called it Fort Lost in the Woods in the Army, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. I went to Fort Sam, Houston, Texas, and San Antonio for training. I was stationed once upon a time in Fort Sill in Oklahoma. I went to, Fort Stewart down in Savannah, Georgia. Did a lot of time in Germany. I went to Germany 95 and 98. I was stationed in Wiesbaden. And I went back to Germany in 04 to 2012, at which time I went to Baumholder and then went back to Wiesbaden. Went back to Wiesbaden because really when my time was up in Baumholder, AJ's oldest brother was a sophomore. He was like, Dad, I'm not leaving. You got to let me graduate over here. So So I was able to move from Baumholder to Wiesbaden and do the last 3 years to let him finish up school. Um, in the midst of that journey, I left out a few. Fort Benning. I was stationed at Fort Benning numerous times as well. But AJ, in that journey, AJ pretty much, he was born in Fort Irwin, California. Well, he was actually born in Riverside. My wife actually went with AJ back. She stayed with her mom in Riverside so that she can have AJ with the same doctor who had our middle son, as well as who was Glennis' mom's doctor, my wife, when she was born. So he went back to Riverside, but we were living in Fort Irwin, California, and AJ lived there all of about 3 months. And then we went to Baumholder. So he was in Baumholder in Wiesbaden, Germany for like 8 years of his life before he ever even came back to the States, at which time we came back to Fort Benning in Columbus, Georgia. And that's where everything started for him. He was a little bit behind the power curve because in Germany, they didn't have the insurance and things of that nature for the padded football for the soldiers, kids. So they played flag football. So he had played flag football, kind of knew how football worked. But it was actually kind of funny when we get back and he's 8, getting ready to turn 9, and he's scared of contact, and we like, oh my goodness, I don't know if he's gonna be as good as his brother. And fast forward and by the freshman year, the older brother, Daniel Jr. is looking at me like, Dad, I think he's gonna be better than me. So it's just an interesting journey. And for somebody who wanted to be playing football at a young age. I mean, when we were in Germany, the coaches would let AJ come to practice, and he had a helmet that went over almost his, not only his head, but almost his shoulders. And he's running around practice thinking he's playing, to a guy who had to play flag football, to getting started late and early in the Pop Warner days, not looking so good, to the switch just flipped about 6th grade. And you can already kind of see, okay, this could possibly be something special brewing here. So interesting.
Did he just naturally kind of grow out of that, maybe, fear or hesitancy of contact, or was there an aha moment, or it just happened, just gradually just happened for him?
Well, it's funny because I kind of mentioned that about I've been mentioning his older brother. His older brother is kind of like who he looked up to a lot. And after those first couple of practices and the first game, when older brother could see he was scared of that contact, we went home. He took him in the backyard. And he let him feel it a little bit and was like, nah, if you're going to try to stand up to me when you go out to practice, you better stand up to kids your age. And from there, it was like, oh, I got it. It don't hurt so much, actually, if I try to give the contact. So it was very interesting. But older brother definitely played a big role in him not being as scared of the contact, and then realizing that, yeah, if I can kind of stand up to my older brother, I'll be okay. So that was the big turning point. Older brother taking him in the backyard.
Yeah, so that's super interesting, because he hasn't shown a hint of hesitancy from what I've seen. So I would have never even guessed 4 or 5 years ago that would have been a thing that he had to kind of fight through. So that's super interesting.
Yes.
So you've seen a lot of the world. You've certainly seen a lot of the country.
Yes.
How does that impact you guys with the recruiting process? Or I guess more specifically, how do you think that impacts AJ, just having bounced around a little bit and seen different parts of the world? Does that maybe open things up for him in a geographic sense of where it's not just, SEC? Part of that, where you're located obviously is the heart of SEC country. And there are some non-SECs on that list, a couple of Midwest programs. How much of that do you attribute to the moving around, and kind of, how much of that is just maybe AJ's personality?
Good question. From, in a military environment, Mark, we are always a melting pot. I mean, you got people from Puerto Rico, from Haiti, from the islands, you got them from Hawaii, Delaware, North Dakota. I had never met anybody from Delaware, North Dakota till I went in the military. So, I mean, he's exposed to, every nationality, every race. So, a melting pot is definitely good for him. He's at a private school now. So, the more of a mix, the better. I definitely know that, while we were in Germany, his older brother, like the high schools over there, it was definitely different. It was special. Like, the older brother was going to, we lived in Baumholder, Germany, which is on the France border. And, they were taking trips to Rota, Spain to play football, to the UK to play football. So AJ was traveling, all over Europe, going to watch his older brother play. So when you say getting back to the States, would he be biased towards SEC? Oh yeah, he knows that I'm not an SEC guy, but we know SEC football is some of the best football in college football. So let's just put it out there. But he knows that the SEC ain't the only football in college. And he know that there are some teams in other conferences that can compete with any of those big boys in the SEC. So he's definitely wide open. And he is definitely going to, give those prospective coaches a chance to show him how they can help him to, reach his goals and future accomplishments.
One of the last things I want to hit on here, how do you manage, maybe expectations is the wrong word. How do you manage letting this, so you want to set the bar high and you want to drive these guys to be great, but how do you kind of maybe rein in the social media, the attention, because this type of stuff has ruined many 5-stars over the years.
Yes.
How do you handle that? Because it's, even though he's got all these big offers and he's done all these visits, he's just now, I think in the last few months, starting to become, a name that I think, the average maybe recruiting follower who just kind of dabbles in following recruiting is starting to know. So how do you manage that and kind of keep the train on the tracks, I guess?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mark. In fact, one thing I can say is AJ has been going to FBU football camp since he was like in the 5th grade. And one thing I always credit FBU about is, they always give the players and the parents little classes. And I can remember one of the first classes we got was about social media etiquette. FBU 5 years ago was already preaching about, the basics, have your name, have your height, weight, have your huddle length. They were already giving these kids, like, have your real name. Don't have a coach looking for a nickname. And, then they were telling the parents, hey, if you're not going to be on the account with him, you need to get one and kind of oversee, because, things he like, it matters, stay up. And in the military, we're real big on, don't talk about religion and politics. So I immediately, started giving AJ the class, hey, be careful of liking political stuff, so these kids have to be educated on this type of stuff. It's been a very big advantage for AJ as well. His trainer there in Atlanta, Oliver Davis, he really has opened the door to some of his special guys, Ethan Nation, Caleb Downs, AJ. They get to actually talk with, JC Horn, and they get to talk to his agent, and, they're really getting a lot of nuggets that's beyond their years right now. If it's one thing I can say is parents exposing their kids to more is so important. And of course it takes means to do that. But the more exposure you can give to your kid, the better. So also here in Columbus, I just found a guy, His name is Rayshawn Reed. He used to play with the 49ers back like '09 to maybe 2012. You know, he's giving AJ tips and tricks and a little training. And the one of AJ's first trainers, Damian Daniels, they call him the Nighthawk. We have an arena football team here in Columbus called the Columbus Lions. And Damian Daniels is the all-time leading interception person in the NAL. When you're around all of these successful people, you are who you surround yourself with. And that's one thing that we really try to drive home to AJ. Like, as you're starting to get bigger, here is some of those friends you're going to have to cut off. And it's some of those friends who you may think that are not your style that can benefit you. It's just part of the network. When you go to Ohio State, Notre Dame, you're going to be sitting in the classroom with future Fortune 500 people. So, who you surround yourself with is everything.
Yeah. Well, I think to get to where you got there at the very end, I think is great. The surrounding yourself with the right people, I think, is something we all can try and focus on, and I think that's helpful advice to anybody.
Yes,
that kind of hit the nail on the head there. I'm not going to put you on the spot here too much, but I know July, end of July here. Is there any update there on where the Harris family might be popping up, or have I know
what?
You guys are working?
No, great question. Great question. Because I just me and my wife just was kind of talking last night, and we told AJ we'd get together Saturday as a family, because I'm kind of torn in that I'm thinking I'm going to present to AJ like, hey, do you want to go visit somebody we didn't get to visit in June, or do you want to go back and revisit some people? So I'm going to see what his take is on that, because I know we're going to do the game day experience at Ohio State. We're going to go see Georgia. So do we really need to go back? And then his relationships with the coaches there are great. So is it really a need to do that? Or is it, we're almost to the point, it would benefit us more to go to someplace different, because if they can't move the needle, then that's going to clarify to AJ even more that his thought processes are on point. So we may end up going to see maybe Florida, maybe LSU, and see if that moves the needle any. If it doesn't, then we kind of know, and he'll know where his thought processes are, that he's on track and that there's no need to continue courting and, talking to all of these other schools.
Well, we look forward to kind of seeing what you guys put together. We appreciate you jumping on here with us, especially.
No doubt.
I'm filling in with Tom, so I fill in for Tom. It's big shoes to fill, so we had to have a good guest. So
they had the right man. No, they had the right man filling the shoes. Mark, thanks for having me, my friend.
We'll see what the response is before. Let's not dance before we reach the goal line here. Okay, let's see how the response goes. So, but I appreciate it, Dan.
Hey, one thing, since I know your neck of the woods is Ohio State Nation. I just want to send my condolences out to Coach Coombs. Dad just passed away. So condolences from the Harris family, my friend.
Thank you. I know he left quite a legacy with his with Carrie and with his children, grandchildren, et cetera. Very long legacy in the football community for sure. So we appreciate that. I'm sure Coach Combs will appreciate that as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, take care, Mark.
All right, everyone. That'll do it for this morning's episode. We appreciate everyone tuning in. BuckeyeScoop.com for all of your recruiting coverage right now. We got a lot of stuff going on there from our recruiting team. We got some off-season nuggets from Nevada Buck. And we have the player profiles from Tony Gerderman that have been coming fast and furious here this offseason. So plenty of stuff to check out on the website. Also, youtube.com/Buckeye Scoop for all of our videos. You can get our podcast, of course, in video form. And you can always search Buckeye Scoop on your podcasting platform of choice if you're more of an audio guy. So you can get all that stuff there on your podcasting platform of choice. Thanks for listening. We will see you tomorrow.